Hello, it's me, Jay, the only person out there who's regularly bringing you Revolver competition videos here on YouTube. The 2021 USPSA season is kicking off, and having had a year of experience now in Revolver, I've decided to make a couple of changes to hopefully start pushing to be a little bit better. If you join me down here in the workbench, we can take a look at the new stuff. So here we are. Same gun as last year, a Ruger Super GP100 in 38 Special. The first and most obvious change is the extended cylinder release here. So last year I was running the stock cylinder release, which was just kind of the standard Ruger push button in the frame. It turns out that the push button actually has a little bit of a lever action to it, so this lever that I designed and 3D printed myself, since nobody's making a factory part yet, does the trick. I can now get a good grip on the gun and hit the release without breaking my grip, whereas previously, it's hard to see with the lighting, but my thumb's not quite long enough to get there unless I kind of actually break my grip and move my hand around the side. So that's one thing that'll speed up my reloads, and as a revolver shooter I do that an awful lot. Step 2, I bobbed the hammer myself with a little carbide Dremel bit, some shaping, and an awful lot of sanding to get it more or less smooth. The reason you go for a bobbed hammer is to reduce the overall mass of the hammer assembly, so the main spring can drive it faster, which means you can use a lighter spring to set off primers because kinetic energy is velocity squared, and lighter springs means lighter trigger pull, and with double action all the time, that's something that you want. Oh, I guess the third thing is grips. I was running the stock hardwood grips before, but those grips are opinionated. They have a shape to them. As I was saying, they have a shape to them that kind of forces your hand into a certain place, and that's not actually where I wanted my hand to be. I wanted to be higher up the grip. So these are Altamont grips with the little fleur-de-lis inset panels, and they are less opinionated. They don't have any grooves or bulges. They're pretty even in profile on the back, so I can get my hand up nice and high, which is good for recoil control because it means the recoil axis is closer to my hand. Next up, the belt rig. So we've got a new holster, the double Alpha X, I think the triple Alpha X, I guess it's double Alpha then Alpha. Anyway, I wanted to get the muzzle support adapter as well, so that I could put a muzzle support on. The Revolver muzzles being higher over the trigger than your average semi-auto means that you have to have this little bit. This is also a 3D printed part because double Alpha did not have the Revolver support adapter in stock when I looked, and I got tired of waiting, so I made one myself. The muzzle support is actually very helpful if you... Hang on a moment. So if I bring the Revolver back up here in frame, you'll see the trigger guard is round. And the way the Alpha X holster works, the way these double Alpha holsters work generally, is they grab onto the trigger guard. So if you're grabbing on the trigger guard here, the gun can rotate forward and back in the holster, which means the draw's less consistent and sometimes you get stuck. So the muzzle support adapter, what that helps with is it kind of gives the muzzle an index point and constrains the rotation of the gun in the holster, which makes for a cleaner draw and better times. Presumably. I don't know. Draw's not that important, but it's a race division is Revolver, and I'm allowed to use it, so I'm gonna. The last change is not a gear change, but a technique change. I've decided to switch up my reload method from the Mitralik-style strong hand reload to the, I don't know if it has a person's name, weak hand reload. I will take a look at some video here, and I'll show you what I mean. So the strong hand reload. It's what you think of if you've seen a Jerry Mitralik video where he shoots a revolver extremely fast and reloads it even faster. So the way that works is the strong hand thumb presses the cylinder release, the weak hand pushes the cylinder out, and the thumb works the ejector, and the strong hand goes to the belt to get the new moon clip and drops that in. You reestablish your grip on the way up, and that's that. The weak hand reload, the weak hand handles the ammunition instead. So the strong hand cylinder release, the strong hand thumb pushes the cylinder release, the strong hand index finger pops the cylinder out, the weak hand on the way down to the belt hits the ejector, then the weak hand puts the ammunition into the chamber, or to the cylinder rather. So the difference is interesting. So the strong hand reload is faster in the best case. Your hands are doing different things, and there's not really any downtime for either one. The difference for me is that the weak hand reload is a lot less sensitive to stress. I can do it more reliably on the clock, and even when I bobble it, it ends up a little better. So hopefully that'll help me push those classification numbers up some, because, you know, it's Revolver and reloading is 85% of the battle there. At any rate, we'll see how it goes this year. Thanks for stopping in.